All right, so welcome to another rapid fire business story of the week. This is part of our rapid fire series, and today we have an incredible guest with us, someone who's achieved extraordinary success and is here to share their unique business journey with you. We're excited to hear their insights, so let's welcome them to the show. All right, so as this is our rapid fire series, we've got 1 minute or less to answer each question. So, in a minute or less, give us the elevator pitch to your story and your life. Go.
Sure. So my business is Best D Life, helping you find the bliss in your busy. I am a full-time social worker as well as a burnout prevention specialist and self-care strategist. I help busy professionals ditch the guilt and overwhelm and find more time and space in their day for self-care to help prevent their own burnout.
So that's fascinating, and I would love to dig a little bit deeper. So tell us a bit more about what you're working on today that you're most passionate about and believe will have the biggest impact.
Sure. So I'm pulling parts of my one-on-one coaching and my book into speaking and training programs for businesses to be able to use so that they can train multiple employees at once to help create that work-life balance, that culture, so that their employees aren't, feeling pulled in one too many directions, so that they're able to enjoy their time at work as well as enjoy their time at home. It increases employee retention, sick days, helps improve productivity, creativity, and overall success for the employees and their businesses.
So this next question is one that every entrepreneur has dealt with. Tell us about a time where you failed. We often say failure is the first step to success. So think about a time where you failed in the past. What happened? What did you learn from it?
Gosh, I feel like there's so many different times because until I've done something, you don't know what you don't know. And I think failure isn't necessarily, it has a negative connotation. I don't see it as failure. I see it as an opportunity to figure out what I don't know. Things don't necessarily always go according to the plan I have, but there's always growth. There's always a takeaway. There's always a positive. So whether it's a launch I had that didn't quite maybe hit the numbers I wanted to hit, didn't have that same trajectory, I still hate to call it a failure, but it may not have been the success that I was hoping for, but it helped me learn where I needed to lean in and make some improvements and continue to grow stronger.
That's fascinating. That's fascinating. And we're definitely going to have you back on the show to dive deeper into each of these questions. But for now, one thing that I often say is, and I tell this to my employees and the people who work with me and for me all the time, is that when a tree falls in the forest, if nobody hears it, did that tree actually fall? This brings me to this next question. How do you make sure that all of these amazing projects that you're involved in get noticed? What marketing and advertising methods have worked best for you? You've got a minute. Let's go.
Awesome. Absolutely. I think how we speak about our programs, how we share it is definitely where the energy and the momentum that everybody else picks up from. I'm on social media, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, but I love networking. It's, I think, one of my favorite strategies when it comes to sharing what I do, to be able to start to even make a difference when I'm having that conversation with individuals, whether it's in person, virtual networking. I love connecting. I love creating those relationships because I think that's where a lot of that impact happens.
That was so awesome. We're definitely going to dive deeper into this on a later show. And as we approach our last question, before we ask people how people can get a hold of you, how people can reach you, learn more about the work that you're doing in your company, and we will include all that information in the show notes, what I wanted to ask you is, what is one piece of advice that you would offer to your younger self, to our audience, and to somebody, especially somebody who's just starting out in the same niche that you're in, but just doesn't know how to start or get going. Amazing stuff. We're going to have to thank our guest today.
Definitely just to give myself grace. I think my expectations were high. I could be very hard on myself thinking I needed to be ready or a certain level or farther along. A lot of limiting beliefs could come into play. And so giving myself grace for that progress over perfection, for being willing to take a risk and not be perfect, to be able to keep trying, keep going, even when it seems like you don't have some of those outside tangible metrics, to see the growth personally, even that was happening within me throughout that whole process, and to know that, all progress is positive, even if it doesn't have some of those metrics or numbers that might be more outwardly kind of valued versus some of the internal improvements.
Today for being a guest on Business Story of the Week. And before we cut out on this episode, I wanted to ask you, how can people get a hold of you? How can people learn more about what you're doing? And how do people engage with you? And we will transcribe this and put it in the show notes for everybody to find.
Absolutely. So you can reach out to me. My email is Daniela@bestdlife.com. You can go to my website, bestdlife.com. I have tons of free resources you can access there. We have a podcast, blog posts, as well as connect with me on social media. Shoot me a DM. Say that you heard me on this episode. I'd love to connect and say hi. Follow me on any of those platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Let's start our conversation. Let's make that connection and see how we can start creating that work-life balance and preventing that burnout in your own life.
All right, amazing. So you did it. Thank you for being a guest on the show today. Let me tell you what you can expect next. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all this, we're going to cut it into an episode. It will go on the Business Story of the Week page. So make sure you go on Apple Podcasts, review us, like us, go on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to us on Spotify. And this will come out in the next 30 days or so, depending on our workload and how many shows we have. We have had a lot of interest in the show lately, so we may be a little backed up, but the show will get out. In the meanwhile, we will send you clips that feel free to share on social. Also, the full episode, feel free to share any way that you like. The content is yours to share and put out there. We just ask that you mark us and tag us in the notes if you do. So in the copy, put hashtag Business Story of the Week. Link back to us. We would appreciate that. And if you think that you might be interested in doing more podcasts, live ones and studio ones, Zoom ones, Riverside ones, there's a whole host of shows that likely if you did this one and succeeded, you would probably be really great at, and a great way of getting your message out. So your host will talk to you about potentially getting you booked on a strategy call for a Business Story of the Week's sister company, Podcast Cola, or becoming a YouTube influencer through Viral Mirage. Thanks again for being a part of this. Looking forward to working with you.